So now that we have some users with limited permissions, let's use them to tighten the security on the Graph TV page. And what I've done, I want to leave this one unsecure so that you can use it for your assignment. So I made a copy called Graph TV Safe, which should work exactly the same, except this is the one I'm going to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using the same database and everything. So I'm going to log in. I'm already logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and search for Westworld. Oh, I have to hit the OK button. Okay, so that works the same. And then if I log out and try to go back to the welcome page, it automatically redirects me to the login page. So welcome sends me back to a safe login. And let me try unsafe login. And I'm going to log in as Fred23. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go back here and I want to reopen the file where I had my queries for the SQL injection, and I saved those as injection.sql. So let's execute the thing that shows the users. And this time I'm going to do order by start year. To float the ones with the zeros to the top. So here are the accounts. And let me duplicate this tab. And then I'm going to execute the command that changes the permissions. So Fred should be an admin already. So I'm going to change the role to user. And execute this command. And then I'm going to go back here and reload. And when I hover over this, it says admin. If I reload, it should now say user. Oh, and I have to paste the query in again. And I should have used the order by, but whatever. Okay, so anyways, if I hover over this now, it says that Fred is a user. So this has the same security vulnerability as before. What I'm going to do is in my Graph TV under safe, I'm going to go to welcome.php. And if you don't know PHP, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to spend much time on the PHP part at all, but you will at least get to see how to talk to a database in a real language. And if I scroll down, so what happens when you actually click on the OK button is it runs this search function in JavaScript. And then the search function in JavaScript goes back to my web server and fetches title search.php, passes in the title. So we want to open title search.php, and that should be the backend stuff that looks in the database. And so here it is in all of its gory detail. So basically all the heavy lifting is in this login DB code. And it's creating a query that looks like this. So it's selecting the top 50 tcons title type, primary title, start year from title basics, and then doing a match against primary title. And then it's creating a new database connection, and it uses something called a database connection string to connect to the database. And it specifies what kind of database I'm connecting to, the name of the server I'm connecting to, which could also be an IP address or a name, a domain name and machine on the internet, what database I'm connecting to, then the username and the password. So then it's executing this query and encoding the results and returning them back to the front end, which then displays them in the table. So all I need to do to switch out the user account that this is being run under is change IMDb to IMDb search select, and then the password that I used is IMDb search user. So now I'm using the account that I created that has limited permissions, and let's go ahead and see if that had any effect. So here, I'm going to execute this query again, except that I'm going to change the role to admin. And then before that affected this thing. So if I fixed it, this should still be user. It should still say imdb.com/title/user. So execute that. And it probably updated. It still says user. So let me go ahead and I'm going to copy this query, hit reload, run it again just to make sure. And I'm actually getting an error now because it's trying to union all select role username hash from users. So I can't actually display the contents of the users table at all from here. If I just enter a regular search query, that works fine. So I can do a regular search query, but if I try to run the SQL injection attack that I was running before, that displays the users, and let's open the debugger. So I'm going to hit the OK button, go to the network tab, hit the OK button. So it came back, but it returned an error. So that command used to work before, but now it doesn't. Now I haven't done anything about input sanitization, so this should still work. I should be able to say, like so. Oh, but not from users. Let me get rid of the from users. And that works. And I have an extra row at the bottom. So what this demonstrates is that I haven't fixed the vulnerability to SQL injection attacks because I'm not sanitizing input, and I can still glue stuff into a SQL string that's being sent to the backend database. But now the user that it's using to connect to for this functionality doesn't have permission to do anything except search on title basics. It can only do select statements on title basics. So if I try to access any other data or try to run a command that updates or modifies the database, instead of doing it, what I get is an error. And if I go ahead and let me hit F12 here and go to the network tab, I'm actually already in the network tab, and I'm going to try to run that command that updates and sets the role. And if I look at what I get coming back, I just basically get the search results from the first thing. So it should be setting the role to admin, but if I go to SQL Server Management Studio and try select star from users, let me execute this use first. And then let me execute my select. See, Fred23 is still a user. So now let's go ahead and use the user IMDb user insert and IMDb user reader accounts. And I'm going to go ahead and open my unsafe login .php in Notepad. And for this one, the code really is in login.db code. And it's going to call unsafe login or register and pass in the stuff that's in the form. So let's open login.db code. And that includes login.db code. And let's see, so there's 3 functions in here. There's unsafe lookup user, which takes a username and a password. And this is doing a select from the users table. So for this one to work, the DB user and DB password have to be my IMDb users reader. So this is going to be IMDb users reader, or probably user. Let me double check that. Yeah, IMDb user reader and IMDb user insert. And then the password for this is IMDb user reader. And if this was a course on PHP, I would make constants for these and put them in DB constants where the other one was defined, but doesn't matter for this. So this one only has permission to read from users. And then lookup user is also just reading from the users table. So this also is going to be IMDb user reader. And then this last one, this is doing the insert into. And so this one is going to use IMDb user insert. So that should be it for the users. Now let me go back to the website and I'm going to log out. And this will still work because I'm not guarding against SQL injection attacks. And this isn't accessing any table information, trying to do any selects or inserts on any tables it doesn't have permission on. So this one is still going to work as a SQL injection attack. Actually, it should definitely work. GraphTV safe, login.php. And actually, I should be at unsafe login.php. Okay, so now this should work still. And it does. But if I try to use a SQL injection attack, for example, what was Fred? So Fred is just a user. If I try to do a SQL injection attack to change Fred to an admin here, So let's go ahead and say update users set role equal admin, where username is Fred23 semicolon dash dash. So before that would have worked as a SQL injection attack. Now it logs me in because of the first clause, but if I execute this statement again, see, it still shows Fred23 as a user. So I'm allowed to bypass the login system because I'm not sanitizing my inputs, but I can't actually modify the information in the users table. I can only read information out. And then same thing with creating a new account. So if I go back here and I try to do a SQL injection attack for any of those. So for example, let me set the username to that. And just to make extra sure that it doesn't work, I'm going to do that with all of them. So all three fields have that same attack in them. If I hit register, so it created an account for me, but probably did not change Fred information because it doesn't have permission to. And in fact, I got an error, so it didn't even create the new account. But it didn't allow me to change Fred either. Now, here's something that should work, though. If I... Actually, I'm going to put this in my SQL file. So I use... So that's presumably the end of either the name, the username or password, and then insert into users values, and then let's go username XXX hash whatever, and role is admin, dash dash. This may actually work because the register user registration is using user insert, and so I have permission to insert into that table. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Paste into all three of those and hit register. And let me go ahead and see what I have in my users table now. Good. So I ended up with username XXX, password hash, and role admin. Now all I need to do is actually create one of these where the password hash is something that is the hash of something I know. So let me go ahead and MD5 hash generator. Let's look for the MD5 hash for password. It's that. So I'm going to go ahead and use that in my SQL statement. And we'll create an account named secret. So paste, 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 hit the register button, and now there should be an account named secret with password, and there is. So this is still not completely safe because there's really no way to allow a user to be registered without inserting a new row into the user's table. To really fix this, I actually do need to go to the next step and sanitize my inputs. But this is definitely more secure, and especially by closing down the hole around this search feature, makes it really difficult to probe any kind of information in the database.